Question: when can women retire? The feminist answer: whenever the heck they want. The feminist financial planner answer: whenever the heck they've planned for. The answer I'm giving today: it depends. But let me show you how I would think about it. Hey there, welcome back to my channel. This is the Happiness IRA, and if this is your first time here, welcome. It's so good to have you. I am Liz Hand. I'm a certified financial planner, and I like to talk about all things money, retirement related, and especially as it pertains to women. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a question I often get, which is, when can women retire? The question is a little bit convoluted because there's not an exact date answer. I can't tell you when you're 65, go ahead and retire, because it's not that easy. Life is nuanced, all of our situations are different, and guess what? Because all of our life situations are different, that keeps me in a job. So I kind of like that answer. The answer, it depends, is like my favorite answer. With that, it depends, I will actually explain what I'm thinking. But before we get into that, have you subscribed to this channel? This one, the one that frames me up on a weekly basis, and we talk about retirement and money. We'd love to have you along. Click that subscribe button and don't forget that bell icon so that you can be notified anytime a new video comes out. All right, diving on into the content. When can women retire? Well, to help you answer that, I'm gonna need a whiteboard because sometimes I just don't think well without my whiteboard. So hold tight. As I stated, this answer is a big it depends answer. It is completely catered to your specific situation. There is no recommended time for women to retire. There's just a couple of points of consideration that I would suggest you might consider as you determine your own time to retire. And the first is our life expectancy. You want to know what the average life expectancy for women in the United States is? Well, it is 78.69 years. So I'm going to write that up here. The reason this is important is that it helps you understand how long you are planning for. Now, this is the average life expectancy. Ladies, we are not average. We're shooting for 100. I give you this number just as a starting benchmark, but I would have you consider looking at the family that you have, how long that they lived, recognizing that there are technological advances and people are living longer and longer, and maybe shoot for like age 90, age 100, something like that. So let's say you're 60 right now. If you were just living to that average age, that there's 18 more years that you are planning for with your retirement. But likely, as technological advances happen, we're living longer. Let's say that we live to 90. Well, that's 30 years of income that you have to plan for. That's a lot of time, especially if you've decided not to work at all. Which leads me into my second point. You really have to define, what does retirement look like for you? For some people, retirement is that hang up the hat, don't clock in, I'm sitting at home, or I'm going on vacations, or I'm doing whatever I want to with my own time. I'm not trying to earn a penny. Well, that's one planning scenario. But for a lot of people, I find that they end up wanting to do some sort of work. They kind of like the structure of a job. They just don't want to work as many hours. Or maybe they want to try something new, a career endeavor that they've never had the chance to pursue. And so if that's the case, they might have some income coming from that new career or that part-time job. If that's the case, you don't have as much pressure on your personal savings, on Social Security, and on maybe a pension that you might be entitled to if you are choosing to work part-time. So recognizing that decision of being full-time retired or part-time retired does impact this decision. But I can't really map that out for you because, well, your decision is your decision. You haven't told me about it yet. The next thing I would have you consider is Social Security. When are you going to collect Social Security? That might shape your decision of when you retire. Now, hear me correctly. Collecting Social Security and retiring do not have to be at the same time. Many people collect them at different times. You can start collecting Social Security on your own record as early as age 62 and as late as 70. They have different implications, and I can't go into all of those today, but I do have several videos on Social Security, and you can watch them through the link above. The next factor is usually the linchpin for a lot of people. Healthcare. What are we going to do about healthcare? Well, Medicare, you can start at age 65. So if you are younger than 65, you are going to have to figure out how you're paying for your healthcare. And after 65, you can use Medicare, but there's some added pieces to that, like how much coverage you have, what extra parts that you purchase. Obviously, you're going to be pursuing a Medicare specialist for those decisions. But age 65 tends to be a linchpin for people. If I'm not working and I don't have health care from my employer, well, then I have to get it on my own. And where am I going to do that? The last piece to this equation is how much money do you need in retirement? This is something that a lot of people don't want to actually sit down and calculate, but it's the most beneficial, the foundational piece to understanding when you can retire. So that is figuring out how much money you need on a monthly basis in retirement. How much do you need to make your ends meet? I'm not saying we're budgeting here. I'm not cutting out Netflix. I'm not cutting out Amazon Prime. You do have to sit down and look at your budget for the last couple of months to see how much on average you spend. That's what you have to recreate in retirement so that you can live the same type of lifestyle that you want. So if that number is $5,000 a month, great, let's write it down. So let's say I need that $5,000 a month, and I know I'm old enough to collect Social Security, and Social Security covers $2,000 of that. 5,000 minus 2,000 equals 3,000. How am I making that $3,000? Am I working part-time? Great, maybe that's $1,500. Or are we just looking at our retirement savings to help recreate that $3,000? Then the key is going back to life expectancy. Because if you're taking out $3,000 a month from your investment, and you're doing this over many, many, many years, and you're thinking you might live to age 90, well, you better make sure that retirement savings is going to last that long. And if it's not, well, you might have to change your decisions for retirement. So it's kind of a moving target as far as what date or what year you can retire, but it's completely feasible to figure out. And if you need help in figuring out when can I retire, how is this going to work, where am I going to get my income from, well, that's where someone like me, a certified financial planner, comes in and helps you understand this is how my retirement is going to work. All right, friends, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. If this has been helpful for you, I hope you will share the good news and pass it along on social media or talk to friends or email it to them. This is something that I think so many people ask about. When can I actually retire? How do I actually know when to flip the switch? And it's a calculation. It's something that you can do maybe on your own, but a lot of times people just need the little bit of distance from their money to really get a good grasp of when I can retire. And that's something that I, as a certified financial planner, can do for you. So if that's something you're interested in, you're always welcome to go to my website, www.pleasantwealth.com, and sign up for a meeting conversation so that we can discuss what's going on in your life as you're tiptoeing towards retirement. All right, with all of that, I will leave you and you take care.